would argue that it has never been easier for each one of you to make a difference than it is today. Never in any time in our history have there been the opportunities to communicate on different platforms because of technology. When I graduated from Centennial High School, I didn't have an email account. Some people might have, but I didn't until I got to college. There were no cell phones, or at least I didn't have one. There was no internet. At least there might have been, but people didn't use it the way they do today. In fact, there was no iTunes, iPhones, texting, Twitter, Google, YouTube, Facebook, MySpace, no streaming video. There was no Wii, although, frankly, I wish there wasn't a Wii because my 7-year-old daughter beats me regularly in Wii bowling, and it's starting to get on my nerves. Let me give you a quick example of using technology to make a difference. Not that long ago, actually a couple months ago, I was at the Columbia Mall walking around. My 2 little girls were at a Build-A-Bear party. Yes, graduates, you have that to look forward to. You may think you will not be wandering around the mall while your kids are at a Build-A-Bear party, but you will someday. And I had this plastic bottle in my hand, and I was getting frustrated because I could not recycle it. The mall did not have a place to recycle. And for those of you who may not know, I'm pretty big on recycling, hence the blue bins that everyone now has. And so I was frustrated with not being able to, well, thank you. I was frustrated with not being able to recycle, and I was telling the story to a friend of mine who said, well, let's see if we can fix that. And so that night he got on Facebook and created a Join the Cause Facebook page, and within the next week, we had 600 people signed up to ask the Columbia Mall to have recycling. And guess what happened? The mall general manager called the person who created the site and said, hey, would you mind coming to the mall and meeting with our facilities people so we can show you where we're going to put recycling all over the Columbia Mall? And he did. And so we made change. And we made it through technology. And so as I wrap up, I did want to reference Bruce Smith's graduation speech. I will say I'm going to wrap up with a quote from one of my favorite musicians in honor of Bruce, since he quoted, and the quality of the video was pretty bad, so I could only make out him quoting AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, U2, and the Grateful Dead. So I'm going to quote one of my favorite artists, and you have my wife to thank for me not singing it. I'm just going to read it. It's by Jack Johnson, one of my favorites, and it goes like this. I can change the world with my own 2 hands, make it a better place with my own 2 hands, make it a kinder place with my own 2 hands, with my own 2 hands. I can make peace on earth with my own 2 hands. I can clean up the earth with my own 2 hands. I can reach out to you with my own 2 hands, with my own 2 hands. I'm going to make it a brighter place with my own 2 hands. I'm going to make it a safer place with my own 2 hands. I'm going to help the human race with my own 2 hands. Now let me tell you, the reason why I picked that quote is it's one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite artists, but more importantly, I picked a Jack Johnson quote because Jack Johnson is another example of an individual making a difference in this world. Because just a few years ago, Jack Johnson performed on this very stage at Merriweather. But instead of just leaving like most artists do, they get in their bus and they go to the next date on their tour. Instead, he left behind a note for the Merriweather Post Pavilion management. And he left a note with a very specific list on things he asked them to do to become a model of environmental sustainability here at Merriweather Post Pavilion. He asked them to put up solar panels on the roof, to create a clean energy source so that the idling tour buses that idle all day long could plug in and not have to spew carbon dioxide into the air. And Merriweather did that last year because of Jack Johnson. That exists here at Merriweather. He asked them to compost all of the food waste after shows, all the hot dogs and hamburgers and French fries and popcorn. He asked them to compost it all. And you know what? They created a composting heap way out back. It's pretty far away. You can't smell it. Because of Jack Johnson. He asked them to change out all the light fixtures to LEDs and compact fluorescents, and they did. And so think about it. Again, he could have gotten in his bus and gone on to the next and let somebody else worry about saving the planet, just as my brother Lance Armstrong could leave the fight on cancer to somebody else, just as John Margolick in our health department could have just waited till 5 o'clock and kept his mouth shut and figured out what he was going to do with his friends that night and left it up to somebody else to figure out how to get health insurance to our neighbors, to children who don't have it. But they didn't. And that's what each one of you is going to do, go out in the world and make a difference. And so again, to the graduating class of 2009, congratulations, you've earned it, and good luck. Thank you.